I didn't know until after the fact that there's a direct correlation with low testosterone levels and Achilles tears. And I had no idea, right? So I went and I was playing basketball. It goes. I call the boys. I'm like, fuck, I think I fucking tore my Achilles. I'm almost sure of it. And Sal goes, oh, fuck. I forgot to tell you, bro.
Reminds me of a study.
Yeah, he's like, dude, yeah. He goes, that reminds me of a PubMed study I read. Yeah, there's that, and he sends it to me like 30 minutes later.
He keeps making those athletic jokes. That'll keep happening.
That's really interesting, though, that low T is correlated to high Achilles.
In general,
it's poor joint and tendon health.
Yeah, so in general, it's connected to just tendon rupture. So, because you need a certain amount of testosterone to maintain the integrity of your connective tissue, just your body in general. So people like to talk about the side effects and the dangers of too much testosterone, like when a man takes, anabolic steroids to build muscle or whatever. But there's terrible health effects with low testosterone as well. It's directly connected to increased risk of heart disease, prostate cancer, cancers in general. Depression is a big one. Mental anguish is a big one with low testosterone. So this is why a lot of times, all joking aside, it's been, I really respect, Adam as an individual, and watching him go through this and seeing what he's having to deal with from it and the way he's handling it has been a superstar.
I want to ask you a question on that, what you just touched on then, about the depression. So as far as causation and correlation between low testosterone, is that a cause of depression, or is it the depression that lowers the testosterone?
It can be both. So
what's the trigger?
It can be both.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you are high stressed or high inflammation, so you have more, so then you feel depressed, that can cause testosterone levels to lower. But if your testosterone levels are low, which his were low because he had been taking synthetic testosterone for so long that his body just stops. That's what happens. Your body stops producing. It's called a negative feedback loop. So when it stops producing testosterone, he's in an artificial low state that was caused by taking synthetic testosterone. For sure, you're going to feel some mental side effects. Increased anxiety and depression are the two most common ones. So, and it's just.
Then you figure your libido goes down too, and that just feeds into the cycle as a man. Like there's nothing worse than feeling like on top of the world because you're full of testosterone, and then all of a sudden feeling like you can't even get a hard on. I mean, that'll that in itself will make you depressed. So it's inversely related for sure.
Is that happening as well? You can't get a hard on.
Well, pretty close. I mean, it's to the point where.
It depends if Justin's around.
Yeah, it does help actually. It's getting really uncomfortable though. I have to invite him over every time my girl wants to have sex. Though, you know what I'm saying?
I gave you that picture though.
So,
you can use that.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well, but we have been trying that lately. No, really though, it's, I went from somebody, I'm 37 years old. I probably have sex 3 to 5 times a week on a normal basis. Where I'm at now, I'm lucky 1 time a week right now. And even then, it's not the same. It's not the same as when I'm on testosterone. When I'm taking testosterone,
So did you just? Well, you're on it, then you come off it.
No. So I've been off completely for 6 months, but I was actually the last year. Once I stopped competing, and it wasn't necessary for me to be taking as much as I was taking to be at the professional level, I did a pretty slow taper.
Right.
And that was by recommendation from Sal and a doctor client of his that said, he's been on it long enough with the HRT and then with the competing that he can't even do a normal PCT, right? So post-cycle therapy, I couldn't even do a normal one. I needed to do this real slow, long taper. Now, luckily, I never got to really high dosage. Like for me, 500 milligrams, my body would start to see adverse effects. So,
and for bodybuilding, that's a relatively low to moderate dose. That's not even nowhere near
professional level for all time.
So you're going to get back on it then?
I might. I'm actually, and what I plan to do is share that journey with our audience. So like right now, I'm trying to do it naturally, and it's also motivated too. My girl and I, she's 38. She's gonna be 38 years old in November, and so it's kind of getting that time where if we're gonna have a kid, this would be the time. So part of that's motivated by that I want to make sure I get my regular test levels up. But it's going on 6 months now where it's been like this, and for me, my overall mental health and then my relationship with my girl that we've been together for 7 years, like if I continue down this path, if I don't see more of an uptick naturally, then absolutely I'll go back to my HRT.
Right. What are the maybe top 3 things that you're doing naturally to boost it?
Well, there's a lot of things that I'm playing with. Stress is probably the number one thing that I notice that makes a difference on my libido. So as much as I've played with diet and red light therapy and doing all kinds of stuff like that. I feel like nothing eliminates more than eliminating the stress that's in my life.
Or at least managing it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's things like that I'd take, getting out from work and taking a day or two off when I normally wouldn't, because I'm the type of person I get very myopic with whatever we're doing and put my head down and don't stop. So trying to schedule those types of days, doing things that are more therapeutic. My training, I don't need really high intense training, and I don't need to stress the body anymore. So a lot of stuff is recuperative. So that type of thinking. But what really sucks is probably the best thing that I could do is do some good strength training to naturally boost that. And with the torn Achilles, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So that's what's been really hard.
Bicep curls for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't going to have that big of an impact, right?
Yeah.
You know, you want to raise
Deadlifts and
testosterone.
squat, yeah.
You want to do barbell squats. You
You
want to
want
do
the
deadlifts.
loud signal, you want the full body exercises.
Yeah, we also you're also you know, I recommended some herbs that you can start trying.
Yeah, no, I've got a whole regimen of supplements, but you guys know us. Like, I'm not big on telling people like try this, do all these. I'm doing all the gamut of supplements, like all the ones that are supposed to help naturally boost my testosterone levels. I'm doing all that, including every morning I get up and sit in front of the red light therapy for a good 15 minutes. So I'm doing all these things that's on cutting edge that's supposed to help boost.
This is great for your listeners to follow you on this journey, because you're learning and then you can give it to them as well.
Right, so I try and share. I'm very open on our show, so if you listen to Mind Pump, you'll hear me talk all about. I'm an open book. If someone asks me questions about how much testosterone I'm taking or the struggles that I'm going through, we try and be very transparent about that.
When you're talking about stress, are you talking about stress on the body from the training or the actual mental side?
Both.
Yeah.
Both, for sure. And they both
all
are,
stress.
Yeah,
It's all the same.
Exactly. Both can be.
It is?
Oh, stress is stress. So although one may cause damage and inflammation in your muscles, and one may cause you to overthink things or whatever, all of those put your body in a sympathetic state, cause
Fight or flight.
Yeah, release of cortisol, which then stays elevated for long periods of time. So then your body starts to downregulate receptors where the cortisol attaches to. So now you're developing, HPA axis dysfunction, catecholamine production has changed, dopamine, serotonin. I mean, they all affect you. Like, I tell you what, like if you overtrained super hard all the time, just push yourself too hard, the effects that you would feel would be similar to you losing a lot of sleep, where you just lost lots of sleep over and over again. Although your muscles may not get so sore, it would still affect your body in a very similar way.
Yeah.
So it all contributes to total stress, and that's a big mistake a lot of people make when they're managing their workouts, is they don't take into consideration all the other things that happen. So sometimes we would get a client, for example, who would come to us who's a type A individual, okay? Super go, works their ass off, 12-hour days at work or more, very high strung, very high stress, and then they would come in and then they would want to work out as hard as possible and not realizing that stress is cumulative. And so that individual may benefit from something that's a little bit more recuperative. They may benefit more from maybe a yoga class or a mobility workout or something that brings stress down, but also still sends that, the fitness signals that we're looking for.
The stress from training, just like an average training session, that's not as bad as the mental stress.
It can be.
Depends.
It can be on the person.
Depends.
Yes, and let me get to make it simpler. What Sal's talking about, and I remember seeing this as a trainer all the time. Is you get clients, typically the clients that are attracted to the super high intensity type of training are also the ones that need it the least, because they already run a very high stress life. They're the ones that work 16 hours a day and they're grinders, go-getters at work. And then on top of that, they come into a gym and they work out in a high intensity training session. That person actually would probably benefit more from like yoga.
Yeah.
I always tell people that normally what you're doing, you're probably doing the opposite of what you need to be doing.
Exactly, but do you know how hard that is for what you say, the type A person?
Oh, so
Right.
hard.
If you're just used to being intense and on it and on it and on it, the last thing you want to do for a workout
yoga.
is go and sit there and go,
Oh, they hate
like
it.
that.
They
It's
hate it.
difficult.
Well, think
short
about
attention span. You want that high intensity drive all the time.
Well, think about it this
Right.
way: cortisol feels good. It's people. We talk about it like it's an evil hormone or whatever. You need it. It's a wakefulness hormone. So, if you're healthy, if you're a healthy individual, and you wake up in the morning and you wake up and you're alert, that's cortisol. Cortisol wakes you up. It gives you energy, and it feels really freaking good to have cortisol because you've got that nice, good energy. Now, if it stays elevated for too long, that can cause damage to the body, and the body starts to adapt to high levels of cortisol and this is just one example, it could downregulate receptors that the cortisol attaches to. So you guys are familiar with insulin resistance, right? This is like pre-diabetes, where the body starts to become, where insulin starts to have less of an effect on the body, so the body reacts by producing more insulin, and then you get this feedback loop that cascades and eventually can turn into diabetes. Well, similar things can happen with other hormones. So, if you're taking testosterone, you take lots of testosterone, you'll notice great results at first, and then all of a sudden you need more to get more results. Well, this is because the body downregulates receptors and stops responding the same way. Same thing can happen with cortisol. So when you have this high-strung type A individual who's drinking lots of coffee, which, by the way, is simulating what cortisol does, on top of it, they've got, stressful relationships, whatever, then they come in and they want to work out real hard. And one of the reasons why they feel so good after that hard workout is a hard workout causes the release of what? Cortisol. So what they're feeling temporarily is, now I can feel that
They're
cortisol.
junkies.
Yeah, because my body's is adapted so much to the cortisol that now 2 cups of coffee isn't doing it for me, and I have to be in a really stressful situation to feel this cortisol give me energy. And so then they continue to go down this path, and then
which is why we've all had clients. I'm sure you guys all have. You guys have been trainers for a long time. You've had clients who, man, they're eating hardly anything. They're kicking ass in the gym because you're kicking their ass in the gym 3-5 days a week. Why are they stuck? Why are they not losing any body? Their body is completely like rebelling. Yeah, it's hit a wall. And it's from pushing that.
Adrenal stress, too. Yeah.
Well, that's what adrenal
That's what
fatigue.
they call that, the HPA, axis dysfunction, what Sal was describing. Yeah, that's another term.
Yeah, so adrenal fatigue is a terminology that wellness practitioners have used for a long time, but it's probably not it's not really the best term to use because it's misleading. Now, they named it adrenal fatigue because they observed all of these, there's a list of side effects that functional medicine and wellness practitioners noticed. Fatigue, waking up in the middle of the night, having difficulty having full night of sleep. In women, it could be hormonal issues that cause, issues with their period. In men, low libido, maybe periods of hair loss, cold, clammy hands. These are all, side effects that kind of categorize what we're talking about. And so they named it adrenal fatigue, but really what's happening is it's not your adrenals that are fatiguing. You're still producing these hormones. It's just the balance between the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenals, and also your thyroid many times, that is not working out so well. Your body's not responding so well. And so cortisol's high at night when it should be low. It's low in the morning when it should be high. So you wake up and you're drowsy as hell and you can't get going. So you drink a shit ton of coffee. Then when you finally do go to bed, and many times you need something to help you sleep, like a glass of wine or a joint or something like that. Then you go to sleep, 2-3 a.m. This is a very common one. I wake up and I'm just wide awake and I can't go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Your cortisol just went up in the middle of the night. So,
You're talking about the stressful the stress with working out. With boxing, like everyone who comes here says, boxing's the best way to relieve stress. But you're saying it's a different sort of stress, right?
It can be. So, exercise in general can be an excellent way. It's actually one of the best ways to relieve stress.
Yeah.
Now, in the short term, it relieves stress because when you exhaust yourself, you get the cortisol release. That all feels good. But in the long term, and exercise is interesting like this, right? Like exercise strengthens the immune system, makes the body more resilient to stress.
After the fact.
But it's after the fact because your body adapts.
After the what?
It's after the fact. So
it's not while you're working. While you're working out, technically, it's a major stress.
Right. So it's afterwards because then your body aims to adapt and become more resilient.
It's overcoming your environment that you're placing in front of it. So.
That's right. So it just becomes more resilient. And so then you become more resilient to stress because you're fit, because you're healthy.
Right.
But, you guys are good coaches. You know this. When you see someone coming in and they say they want a hard workout, but you're looking at them and they're, okay, today we're going to focus on technique. And you can scale it, right? You can change the workout, still boxing, but you can change the intensity based on the individual. So
yeah, we spoke about this before about successful people, like type A people. No matter what they're successful at, when they come to the gym, they work their fucking asses off, right? Them's the hardest workers. Unsuccessful people don't work out, or if they do, they're the lazy bastards that hide right on the side of the bag, But we've worked with all sorts of successful people, like Glenn Trian's a stonemason who's a self-made multimillionaire. And he comes in and he works his fucking ass off every single session.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Some of the most wealthiest, hardest working people in the world don't fucking touch a gym. They don't go to the gym.
Like who?
Warren Buffett. They don't. He eats McDonald's every fucking day.
Yeah, but the ones that do
from
work
our
out.
Experience,
how you do anything is how you do everything.
Right. Yeah.
So if you go after the way you go after work, you probably will go after that. And that's what I mean and it's funny too. The people that are into the yoga, the kind of the hippie, crunchy people, like those are the ones that can use some intensity in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They're always cruising, they're meditating, they could actually use a little good stress and push their body to some limits.
Yin and yang,
I trained 2 yoga instructors, like they're doing really well in yoga world, and they love that high intensity session. And those are the people that I can push like to their limits, because I know right after this session they're going and doing like an hour or 2 of yoga.
Right, they're doing the necessary work to counter, right?
Yeah, that's their bread and butter is the yoga. So it's
That's
like
excellent.
as soon as they get in the gym, it's like grind hard. Whereas other people, it's like what you were saying, taper that intensity down because they're probably grinding in other areas of their
Well, we just
life
we just got done like last week, or actually this week, we released our latest program, HIT, and it's a high intensity interval training, and it's right now it's broken all kinds of records for sales for us, and we knew that because it's very marketable, it's very trendy in the last probably 5-6 years. But we waited to release that because we just don't believe in teaching that to somebody right out the gates, that there's levels first that they should go through. And so we held back on release. In fact, it's the only program we have that even comes with a warning. We don't think that someone should do that until they're a little more advanced. And then if you do follow it, should cycle out of that high intensity every 6 weeks or so and kind of come down.
Tell me more about this online program, the HIT.
So we have a lot of online fitness programs for different goals and different adaptations, but the one Adam's referring to is a high intensity interval training type workout. So 3 days a week you're in the gym and you're choosing between 3 levels, and one's a 15-minute workout, one's a 20, and one's a 25-minute, but it's extremely intense. And the days in between, we include lots of mobility work, because one of the biggest problems that we've seen with high intensity interval training type workouts is the injury rate.
The lack of the recovery program adjacent to that.
Yeah. So we've programmed that all into the program and put that all together, and we phased it so it's 6 weeks, and the first couple weeks you're focusing on barbell complexes, and then you move to dumbbell multiplanar movements, and then you move into body weight explosive type movements to kind of progress somebody. But the thing about high intensity interval training is it's popular because it's effective in the short term. No doubt, you go to the gym and you do, HIT training for 20, 25 minutes, you're going to see some pretty good results, especially out for the first 3 to 5 weeks.
Right.
So it's very popular. The problem is all the high intensity interval training type programs out there have terrible programming. What the trainers do is they just put together 3 or 4 hard exercises. You know what I mean? Like, okay, 30 seconds of burpees, jump rope, do some pull-ups, and some there's no rhyme or reason to the way they program the workout. So
just make it hard as shit.
Just make it hard. Like, we're gonna make you sweat, make you sore. In which case, you don't need a program. Anybody could do that. Pick 3 things, do them real hard, and then you're done. So we program this with the intention of creating balance in the body, reducing injury, making it as effective as possible so that the person's body doesn't plateau like it normally would. Basically program it like trainers would.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I don't think anyone's done that before, have they?
HIT?
No.
There's lots of HIT programs.
Not the way we did it, but yeah.
Where you talk about the mobility and the recovery.
I've heard CrossFit.
I mean, the online thing where you help them with the recovery and the mobility and all that.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great idea.
Every program that we have created has been kind of a response or answer to a modality that's already out there that exists. For example, like you threw out CrossFit. Like when we created our second program, it was MAPS Performance, which is MAPS Green. And it really was centered around the programming that if you're somebody who likes athletic training, like if you get into CrossFit, the workouts, we teach you how to program that way of training better. So if you enjoy compound lifts, these challenging multiplanar things, if you like that intense type of training, well, this is how you should progress that way. So that's where we did performance. And then we got a ton of people asking us after I got done competing and going pro. All of these people were asking us to design what would it look like if you were to do a bodybuilding program. So that was MAPS Aesthetic, the Black Pro.
Right.
So every program that we've created has been kind of a response to people wanting to know, well, how would we write or program like this type of person?
Well, and there's somewhat of a formula to it that we've kind of honed in on, and it somewhat models like we actually took this from Dr. Andy Galpin. He talks about you're either optimizing or you're adapting, and so between our programs, we're always trying to adapt, but now we're flirting a little bit more with how we're going to optimize, how we're going to go a little more, flirt with the extremes, but then pull you back to the foundational mentality. So we took the first couple years, we were trying to develop these programs. We were trying to address the main goals, the broad stroke goals that everybody has in terms of fitness and health. and to kind of steer them into those sound movements and foundational movements to establish good mechanics and learn their body specifically. So now we can kind of jump them up to these more extreme type of training that people, it's more sexy, it's definitely more marketable, but is that really, are you there yet? So there's prerequisites to this whole process, and so it's a hard thing to kind of, as trainers, to pull people back because they get so excited about these, these high intensity, everybody gets into that shit, and it's great because, I love it. Like, I came from athletics and, hard, intense training, and, it was one of my favorite things, but going through the process of now, let's approach this with a smart, measured mentality. What does that look like?
Well, bottom line is we know that, like, the thousands of clients that each of us have trained over the course of 15, 20 years, a majority of the people just aren't ready for that or can't handle that yet. There's other things they need to address first, which is also why I would say our Prime Pro, which is our corrective type of program, right? So Prime and Prime Pro was readdressed imbalances, which I've never seen anybody do that online either, which is before you even do any of our programs, we highly recommend you go through an assessment, figure out where all your muscle imbalances are, and then we kind of teach you how to program that to address that within whatever program. So you could be following somebody else's program, but we've taught people how to address their imbalances.
So these programs are for people to use on themselves, right? Rather than personal trainers who want to teach them.
Both. We actually have a huge consumer base of trainers who get our programs and then use them
on their clients
as models to construct individualized programs
for their
clients.
Yeah, you've got a huge following of trainers because we were up there in San Jose. When was it? It was last year.
October, wasn't it?
October. We did the Boxing Burn Academy with education course, and we got so many people coming from who'd heard your podcast, who listened to your podcast, and what a great bunch of people them are.
Oh, yeah.
Your listeners
awesome.
are so passionate.
Yeah, they're really good fans.
Awesome.
We need to do that again. Actually, that was just the first time doing that. I think it would blow up even more.
We'd love to do that. We'd love to organize.
Because I think you guys were the very first certification or anything that we had at the studio, right? I don't think we had anyone.
Might
before.
have been one of the first ones. We
Yeah.
just recently had what was it?
FRC.
FRC was there.
Yeah, over 88 trainers.
88 trainers in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It was a packed house.
And they're all super passionate. Everyone who does our certification courses are passionate because they're investing their money to continue their education.
Right.
But the guys who listen to your show are real good. Yeah, we'd love to go back up there and do another one.
Yeah, I love that gym too. It's nice.
Yeah,
Hey, you guys
I
took
could
a
just sleep
hiatus
on
huh?
that turf.
You
It's
guys
like
took a hiatus
living
from this for a little bit. How
From the
long?
podcast?
Yeah.
Well, from this podcast, like 3 months.
3 months.
3 months off.
You
Yeah,
get a bunch of hate mail.
got a few people.
How are you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, but I took a bit of time off to concentrate more on the business. The back end of last year, like most gyms, started to die off a little bit. So we are really focus on that, and then as well our education program, the Boxing Academy. We've put that online now. That's live online. That's why I'm interested in your online
So
programs.
awesome. How's it working for you online, the course?
Really good, mate.
Fantastic.
Really good.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. It's just now we're at the stage where I really want to figure out different ways to market it and get it out there to other people, because what we offer, I'm not just saying it, is amazing. It's for personal trainers, for fitness professionals. We just need more people to know about it so they can do the course and then earn more money.
Right.
Yeah, but it's gone really well.
Excellent.
How do you market your?
We have an incredible forum. So we have a private forum where our most diehard fans will enroll in this forum, and that's where they can ask us questions. We get on there several times a day. They talk to each other. They share things, and it's just a great, awesome community. And whenever we release a program, we release it to them first at a discount. So they're one of our largest segments.
I think there's a lot to that too. I think
yeah.
a mistake that a lot of people make when they're building like a virtual business is they focus so much on the growth and the size of people that they're reaching.
Like they want total numbers.
Exactly, versus really taking care of maybe the 5 that you have.
Yeah.
And that forum, I'll never forget. It was not that long ago when it started and it had 5 people in it. And every day, the 3 of us were in there talking to all 5 of those people, answering every question they possibly had. And we continued that until it had 100, and then 300, and then 500. And now it's got thousands of people in there.
Wow.
But we've created a culture now. Now none of us even, if we didn't want to, we still do come in there every day. but we could literally stay away from it for a month and it would completely run itself because we have enough doctors, PTs, and nutritionists and other trainers and coaches that are really, really intelligent that are in there, and they're all helping each other.
How do you get on this forum?
Yeah,
So-
you can sign up for it. So you go on our site, and there's a fee, an annual fee that you pay. Is it 97 now? Are we up to
I think it's
97? 97. And you get on this forum, and you pay that per year, and you're there, and you can ask us questions, tag us, talk to other
And
people.
it's great because it literally is like the pulse of our business. And
We know if we do something wrong.
Yeah, and
On that forum.
immediate feedback, whether it's something we said on the podcast or it's like, feedback from any of our programs or things that we could tweak to polish. Like it's so valuable, not just to them, but to us and for us to listen to them and, alter things. For a lot of other businesses, I highly suggest, you go in that direction because, then you're going to really tap into what the consumer wants. And it's not about you and your ego as far as like, I
how
know
big you need
what
to be.
yeah,
Right.
how massive we can get and how many people we can, reach. It's about like you really fostering that community you've already established.
You can
So,
build a 7 to 8 figure business off of a solid 2,000 to 5,000 people.
Absolutely.
You don't need 100,000. You don't need 1 million people on Instagram or YouTube following you. If you take care of a few thousand people really fucking well, you can have a multi-million-dollar business, no problem. And I think in this day and age,
People don't realize that. Yeah.
it's totally distorted because we have all when we were all kids, none of us had this Instagram bullshit and stuff like that. But now you've got these kids that are 20 years old that are making $1 million a year because they do have millions of people on YouTube, and they're getting it through advertising. But they don't really have a sustainable business. I mean, we meet these kids all the time, and they're not entrepreneurs. They hacked into an Instagram system or Facebook, and they've got a lot of friends, and they show a lot of ass, or they're popular, and that's how they got all this attention. But they really don't have a solid business model, and you can see there's a huge discrepancy. We'll meet somebody who's 100 times bigger than we are with their reach, but their business does 50% of the revenue that Mind Pump does every year, and it's because their mentality is wrong. It's all centered around getting more attention, but not really truly learning to add value to the people's lives that you're touching.
Yeah, 100%.
If you focus on the few people you have and you add value to their life, you got yourself a real fucking business.
We have a friend who's
Sustainable.
got 3 million followers on Facebook, 3 million likes, and every time they post something, a video, or whatever, they get 100,000, 200,000 views. Well, and they're so focused on the volume that's extremely important to them. Well, Facebook changes their algorithm. Next day, now they're getting 3,000 views. Your business is screwed now.
Right.
But on the flip side, if you have a few thousand, 5,000, 10,000 people, but you provide a tremendous amount of value, they're going to seek you out for what you have, and it's much more resilient. And who is it that
a lot
says...
of people don't believe us when we tell this story, but this is true, and it happens every time we release anything, whether it be a T-shirt, a new program. But people purchase, and a lot of people purchase and say they're never going to open it. They don't care. They're like, I already have a program, or I'm already following, or I'm already doing this, or I don't even like the shirts, but they feel compelled to support the business, so they just buy, and they say that, like, oh. I haven't even opened the last 3 that I bought, you know what I'm saying? But you guys have provided so much value in my life over the last 600 episodes, all the YouTubes, all the blogs, all the connection you've given us, that they feel compelled to give us.
What's that? Who is it that says 1,000 for 1,000? Isn't that a saying or something like that?
No, it's a business model. It's
Business model.
1,000 people that will pay $1,000.
There's $1 million right there.
Wow. Yeah. And so you've built an emotional relationship with all these people, and I'm massive on that. That's huge for marketing, building that emotional relationship. For people to buy shit and not even use it, that's what they're doing.
We're just grateful. I mean, you have to stay humble. I'll tell you that right now, because as fast as it comes, it can go just as fast. And so we're just extremely, extremely. Anytime somebody buys anything from me, I'm always, even to this day, I remind myself how crazy it is that somebody just paid, X amount of dollars for a digital product that I created. And so I'm just extremely grateful that somebody's doing it. No different if somebody came in my house and brought me a gift or something like that. So I just may not be able to see or touch them. So we try, and look, obviously there's logistics, right? We can't possibly answer everybody. We can't possibly, but we really do try to go out of our way. And the cool thing about that is we've met some extremely successful people in the internet space who many people haven't heard of, but these are people making 8 figures a year with their business. And if you ask them, like, how did you do it, or how are you so successful, they all say that's number one. The number one thing is I try to give back and talk to and contact and, answer as many questions as I possibly can. And that made that big of a difference.
It's less about growing the numbers, and it's more about taking care of the ones you currently have.
Yeah.
And then it naturally does grow.
Yeah, well, like what you said there about when you get people's buying your digital product. I was sitting this morning with my wife, and after breakfast, I went on my emails, and I seen we had 3 people sign up. What have you seen? 3 people sign up for the Academy in March, which is it's $300 a person, but it's like $900, like while I'm having breakfast.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's the fucking best, most rewarding feeling
The internet
ever.
is awesome.
It's really good, and I know for a fact that we're going to provide so much value for these people as well. I'm not just money hungry bastard.
Yeah, right.
I know that we're going to provide and hopefully change their lives, change a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
So that as well, and the fact that we're making money while I make me breakfast, it's just fucking. It's great.
Oh, it's really great, especially with, I don't know, I'm sure this plays a factor, but, I didn't grow up, super wealthy, and I'm the product of immigrants. Both of my parents were poor Sicilian immigrants. They worked very, very hard to provide for us a middle-class, lifestyle. And I just, I see the value in it. Like, somebody buys something from me, I am going to deliver way more value than I think you paid. Like, you give me $100, I'm going to give you $1,000 in return and serve. I'm just, because I see the value. And I don't know if that's part of my upbringing or whatever. I think that has a little bit to do with it. And I think we also have to build it. I think if it comes really easy, you don't necessarily value it as much. If people just throw money at you, you might not value it as much, because we do work very hard. But it's freaking awesome. Like, somebody wants to buy something from me, and then they like it, and it helps them. Like, what else can I do for you? You know what I mean?
That's the exact approach I try to take to every, like, personal training and private training as well. It's humbling that someone wants to spend good money and spend an hour of their time with me and learn from me and grow and build their fitness or whatever it is, their health, strength, whatever, from me. That's a humbling thing. And I think what you said about your background is huge. Same for me growing up. I was taught to value money, and you work to get money. Money stuff isn't just given at you. You've got to go out there and earn it. And I think that stands you in good stead. And now I see that coming back to me later on in life, because I see a lot of people who are just kind of like blasé about stuff. They don't really give a shit, or they kind of take things in their stride, and it's just another client or whatever. And especially in this industry and in this city.
Oh, especially in an area like this one. Absolutely.
So I think if you have that kind of mentality, you do kind of stick out a little bit. And that's one thing I try to put across in our academy, in my lectures as well, is just, be humble and value every single person that wants to work with you. And
it's a slower grind. And I think that's we're in this instant gratification era right now, where everybody just expects, man, I started my Instagram and I did all this cool shit. Why am I not famous yet? Or I happen to get pictures. Why am I not rich yet? Like, it's just this instant gratification. But building it's no different. Like, we now are in this virtual world. But if this virtual world didn't exist and I had to build a brick and mortar, it literally would be brick by brick, guest by guest, member by member. You know what I'm saying? And I would treat each one like they really are my paycheck, and I may lose them, so they're going to get this extra great treatment. All of a sudden, we get in the virtual world and we stop doing that because they're flooding in from all over the place, and so people don't value those people as much. But that's part of why they're not that successful. They'd be a lot more successful if they treated each customer as if it was their last customer.
Well, it's character, and what builds character, I think, is meaning, and what gives you meaning is you have to challenge. Challenge is what gives things meaning. So if I work hard and I have a dream and I'm passionate about it and I grind at it, and then it starts to pay me back, there's a lot of meaning to that, because this is something I worked really hard and I put my heart into, my passion into. Now, if it just came easy, or if I grew up super rich and I don't really value these types of things, it's not going to have that much meaning. And I've had lots of employees, and I could tell within 5 seconds if someone's going to have that character or someone's not going to have that character. In fact, when I would hire people, I used to not look so much at what you know and how experienced you are, as I'd look for character, because I know with that character we can go way further than you come to me with a kinesiology degree and I have all this experience in this and that, and I used to make this much money in this gym over there, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be an uphill battle to get this person to really care about what they're doing.
Yeah, higher character and train skill, that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
I remember when me and Kev come up to San Jose and talking about the online search, I can't remember whose phone it was, but it was keep flashing, and I'm sure you said, every time it's flashed, that's a sale on the online side.
Oh, I don't know.
Was that right or not?
I don't know who told you that.
That's what that light
Maybe.
is. I was like, what's that flashing light? It's been
Yeah,
going on for like 45
These
minutes.
fuckers have just made $5,000 while we're doing this podcast.
It got to a point. I remember when that first time that ever happened, right? I remember when we first started.
Oh,
and
that
it
was funny.
just like the same feeling you said. It was like this really exciting feeling to be like ding ding and see that like whoa shit, this
Like
is
a
really
slot
cool.
machine.
But it literally got to the point where it kills my phone now. So I actually have to shut the notifications off because of it, which
Terrible
was such
problem.
a cool thing to have when that happened.
Right.
But I actually know now where I don't even look, but this has just happened probably in the last year or so, where I don't even look at it. It gets me too stressed out to see the waves.
Yeah, you can't
You know what
watch
I'm saying?
the
So
daily.
if there's a dip of $1,000 to $2,000 in one day, all of a sudden I'm panicking when I don't need to be worrying about stuff. I need to be focusing on other parts of the business that are more important.
Yeah.
And getting caught up in the numbers all the time like that, it could really fuck
It's
with
like
you.
watching the stock market every day. You'll lose your mind.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
even more so the cryptocurrencies now. I don't know. I'll watch them.
I'm in on 'em.
Super. It's
I'm in on
crazy,
them.
but
I don't even look at mine.
You don't-
I literally.
yeah.
So somebody asked me this the other day because we talked about crypto, and I'm a big believer in the blockchain technology, and so I've invested in it. But I'm a big gambler, right? So I gamble on sports every week, and so I call that my fun money. Like if I lose it, I lose it, and if I win, I win, whatever. But I don't, I'm not somebody who gets crazy and gets progressively worse. It's just I have a few bucks that I put aside and say this is my fun money. Well, I did the same thing with cryptocurrency. I said, okay, I have X amount of dollars that I would be gambling this month. I'm going to invest it in 5 or 6 companies that I believe in, and I'm just going to let it sit. And I watched it for a while, and I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah, when I first started, I'd watch it like look at it 2 or 3 times in an hour, and I'd be like, oh shit, I just earned $1,000, whatever it is,
right?
and then it's like, the last couple of weeks, it's like, fuck, what happened?
Do you plan to stay in? I mean, are you somebody who's in for the long? Do you believe in the
sure.
blockchain? Yeah.
I do, yeah, I think so. And I mean, even so recently, like the last week or so, it's been pretty steady, and I think people will get their confidence back. And then, I think Bitcoin's at like 10.5, 11 right now. It was at 19, but it dropped down to 7, but it's been right around 10 now for a while. And so I think people will get their confidence back and start investing.
Are you the only one, or Glenn? I know what's your stance on cryptocurrency and blockchain? You're more
I
the
did
political
a
guy
little
out
bit,
of all
but
you guys,
I
right?
never really got involved. I don't have enough money for that stuff.
Fuck off, you do. I bought
they've been paying
I bought
you.
Bitcoin at 15 grand, and then it fucking went down there.
But you kept it though. You didn't sell it.
No, I've still got it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
bought a few more as well, but
Sell high, not low.
I'm just leaving it. But I invested in Twitter. Before me and Kev paid ourselves, it was a couple of years ago, $5 bonus each from the gym. And I thought, I've never done any stocks. I don't know anything about it. I'm on Twitter. I'm thinking, I wonder what I can get. I thought, fuck it, let's have a look at Twitter. And it was cheap. It was like 25 or whatever, 30 a stock. So I put the full $5 in Twitter. The very next day, the CEO left and it just went, hit the fucking floor.
Diversify.
I lost half. I lost $2.5 grand. I was like, shit. But now Twitter's starting to
That's
come
a
along.
classic,
Yeah.
first time
background.
investment mistake,
Yeah,
Just by the
fucked up.
first. I invested in, so when this whole medical marijuana thing was starting to get, big, and I started researching into the science of some of the potential medical applications for cannabinoids. At the time, I had a family member who had terminal cancer. So I was looking at, there was no treatments that we could do. She was terminal. So I looked at every available alternative treatment, and I tried to find ones that actually had some scientific backing, and I looked up cannabinoids, and cannabis has some really interesting anti-cancer properties. So I dived deep into the science, and when I came out of that, with all the scientific study at the time, it wasn't nearly as much as it is now, but there was still quite a bit. I looked at it and I said, holy shit, there's actual real, like groundbreaking potential applications for cannabinoids for a lot of different things. So I looked for companies that I can invest in, because I'm not going to go invest in something that's still federally illegal. That's very, very risky. You could do it and you could probably still do well, but so I looked on the market and I found a company called GW Pharmaceutical. That's actually a UK-based company, and they make medicines off of cannabinoids, actual pharmaceutical drugs, and one of their products was going through trials to treat intractable forms of epilepsy. And I had read studies earlier showing that parents in the US were breaking the law and getting high CBD cannabis to treat epilepsy because their kids were going seizure-free. So I said, this is something, right? So I bought it, and it wasn't even available on the stock exchange yet. It was over the counter. So I had to buy the pink sheet over the counter, which is quite risky. I bought it at $9 a share. And I bought, how much did I buy? I bought quite a bit. I think about like 20 grand. I went deep, right? it's worth over $130 right now. So it went from 9 to 130, and their medication still hasn't. It's in phase 3. But every time they do a test, it comes out that it's remarkable. But I see the other applications for it. You just wait till they come out with a cannabinoid cancer treatment, something that you actually use to reduce your chemo. And you watch the news articles are going to come out, cannabis treats cancer. That shit's going to explode.
So you put 20 grand in it?
I believe I put, over the course of a year, I invested about 20-something thousand.
How much is that 20 grand worth
Oh,
now?
it's quite a bit more now. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while. It's probably over 60 or something like that. Yeah, so I've tripled it. But yeah, but it was I looked at the science. I looked and saw. It's still a big risk, right? Because you never know what the laws can be. But yeah, with the stock market, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because what I did is I put that money in there, and then I don't even have it. I pretend like it. That's why I don't even know. I don't look at it because I'll freaking
play the long game with it.
Oh, I'll drive myself crazy if I watch it every day because I've seen it do this,
Right.
So forget about it.
So what's going to be next with your business now? I remember before you were telling us that you were looking to start working with trainers who were going to do certification courses. Is that still?
So we did it. We did a free class for trainers to, and really it was a feeling out process. We wanted to know what they wanted from us, and we also taught them how to program workouts based on the MAPS philosophy. We did some sales training with them. We talked about building a virtual media or social media business to supplement or to be their personal training business.
Yeah, that was all a free course, so that wasn't something we
totally free. So we did that. That's something still we're looking down the road. We're also looking at potentially helping podcasters build their business. But in the immediate future, we want to produce 4 to 6 fitness programs a year, and we want to continue to outproduce our competition in terms of media.
Well, and this year
Content.
we're getting very specific this year, right? So we just finished the hit. We're getting ready to. We just partnered up with Robert Oberist, who's like the strongman competitor, like the #1 guy in the world right now. Who's really, really cool guy, good friend of ours. And we're going to do a strongman program, and we're going to partner with him on that. So a lot of the programs you're going to see us do in the future. We'll partner with other experts in that field and be more specific. So we did a very broad stroke, all the programs that we feel are for mostly the general population. But then what happens when I get a soccer player or an obstacle course racer or someone that has a specific like athletic goal or something that they want to train for? We're starting to get other influencers or experts in that arena, and then we're partnering together and creating programs.
Who would you say your competition is? Who else is doing this?
I don't think we really have competition.
Beachbody.
No.
For programs, there's a lot of people that produce programs.
Yeah.
We don't. I mean, most programs online will cost you anywhere between $20 to $50. Our programs are around $100. So we charge more, but they're quality. They're good. The programming's excellent. But we're a media company more than anything, producing just as much fitness content as possible. There's some other, podcasts and channels.
I wouldn't say I don't believe we have any real true competitors, and that was I think we're disruptors in our space. Like what we're trying to do is totally different than what anybody else is doing. There's lots of people that sell programs, but really programs are what's just fueling the business right now. It's what's helping us continue to build and
doing
fund.
a smart version of it, really, aren't you?
Right.
Trying to.
Yeah, and
that's the goal.
Yeah, the goal is to not compete with them. In fact, we're even planning on in the future branching out of just fitness. Like we're talking about dropping off Raw Fitness Truth off the podcast title and just being Mind Pump, because we're now getting into political conversations, we're getting into economics, we're getting into all kinds of other
Popular
topics.
culture,
pop culture and fashion.
Wow.
So we're branching out. Well, all of us, as much as we're experts in fitness, we love the podcasting part and the interviewing, the art of that so much that we want to continue to excel that skill, and really everything else will just support what we're doing here.
How many shows are you doing now a week?
5.
5, yeah.
5.
Yeah, we've been doing 5.
Would you not consider doing another podcast? Have you thought about that?
Well, really, it's the show kind of
We have
morphed.
thought
So
about it.
yeah, we've thought about it, but more than that, I think what we'll probably do is segment our show. So what we may have like at the moment, what we do with our Q&A episodes, which are our most popular ones, right? So we do 3 of those a week, and we do 2 interviews a week. The 3 Q&A episodes will answer 4 fitness questions, but the first 30 to 45 minutes of the episode is, entertainment, banter, and current events.
Right.
So it's almost like 2 shows. You got 45 minutes of entertainment and current events, and then the last, 45 minutes is we'll answer the questions that our audience asks us, and then we'll get into the fitness.
Has that just changed? Because I remember before you used to do the long intros.
That's
right?
what it is.
But it wasn't 45 minutes. It was like
No,
10
it's
minutes,
this has evolved. This is just recent. In fact, we made it a point. You know, we sat around and we all talked about. You know, we kind of reassess our goals at the end of the year, and this was at the end of the year where we're talking about some of the things that we wanted to do, and part of that was moving outside of fitness. And we all looked at each other and said, we're really not doing that.
Right.
And then it was like, okay, well, how are we going to do that? Well, sure, we're interviewing these people, but it's still not helping us break free. And, you know, we all decided that the way we are going to get into all these other topics is to start to bring current events that have nothing to do with health and fitness to the podcast every morning. So each guy always has something that just hit news, everything from sports to politics to anything that's popping in the news right now, we'll bring up on the show, and then we'll openly discuss back and forth. And now that we've been pushing that, it's been stretching our intros to 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour, before we even get into the podcast. And we have a pretty good even split of people that tune in just for that part of the podcast.
Yeah.
So even though we're not running two different podcasts, in a way we kind of are. We have a hardcore group of people that don't give a shit about our political views, but they want to hear our fitness knowledge, that they hang in there for that. And then we have a good portion of our listeners that don't give a shit about fitness. They truly just love to hear us discuss topics that they're already thinking about because they're watching on TV.
It's funny, they just did our forum, because again, our forum's so great, right? We started doing this, and our forum did a poll. You could do polls in Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, which part of the show is your favorite, the intro or the fitness part? And it was actually like something like 65 or 70% like the intro.
Wow.
Better than the fitness part, which is
That's
kind of cool because it gives us a lot of flexibility.
And
It
that's
feels
where
like a natural evolution, though. I mean, if you go back in our library of over 700 episodes of just, I mean, we've talked about other subjects, but primarily fitness-based.
Oh, I'm tired of fitness.
It's just like, you could go
tired.
back. We have this, like, elaborate library for you. You
Yeah.
know, like, we need to move on.
right.
It's just part of the
It's selfish.
natural
We'll be honest.
progression.
It's partially selfish. We think it's a smart business move, but it's partially selfish. I think if we're going to
We're not
continue,
leaving fitness. It's
No,
just,
no, no.
right? If we're going to
That's always
continue to
gonna be our
enjoy
base.
enjoy doing this skill and progressing, I think that we want to branch beyond. I mean, we could sit here and talk macros and exercise programming until we're all
Yeah,
fucking blue in the face.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't get me excited. What gets me excited is when I get done with like an interview like we just had with Drama, who doesn't know a lick about fitness. He's scared to even interview with us because he thinks we're going to talk about fitness, and we go nowhere near fitness, and we just have great discussion. Like that to me is what I really enjoy right now. I really enjoy having dialogue with guys and girls that has nothing to do with fitness.
it's just good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
On about marketing here, I had a meeting with a guy who does all of Onnit marketing and branding, and does Glory Kickboxing, Roots of Fight. Are you familiar with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
John Breer, his name is. I don't know if you know him. And I went and had a meeting with him and asked him about how can we promote the Boxing Burn Academy, the education program. And he said, promote yourself, like promote you three, the owners of the company, and it'll filter down.
Yeah.
Is that something you're big on?
That's
promoting
an
yourselves?
interesting theory, and there's
It's kind of a new one, right?
Well,
more,
yeah,
more
it-
social
It's like
media.
the Gary V sort
right.
of
People think that
mentality,
it's
yeah.
necessary now that if you're going to have a successful business, that people want to connect with the CEO or the man or the woman behind the scene that's running all of it. And I believe there is some truth to that, but I also think that you sometimes have to be careful. Like, for example, your guys' business model is great because it's about box and burn, and there's you have these three bright men, behind it, but it's not Glenn or Tony's gym, and I think that can be dangerous because that can pigeonhole you into being stuck to doing that forever.
Right.
You could still be Tony Jeffries, and box and burn could still be thriving, and it could still be filling your pocket, but you can be off doing something completely different because you've set it up that way. We built Mind Pump with the same idea that we will have that option if we ever decide we want to make a pivot, but we still love the business and want to keep it running. Yeah. Where some of these guys and girls who promote their business and build it like as their name, and the whole thing revolves around their name.
Right.
I think you can build a very successful 6-figure business off of that. Where you're making $100,000 to $900,000 a year off that way. But as far as building a company off of just your name and not being a celebrity, it's
tough. Like you see, you see that with current even tech companies like Elon Musk. If Elon Musk stepped down from Tesla, Tesla's share price would drop considerably. Even though the company, same people running it, whatever. So it just happened with Steve Jobs when he left. When he passed away or whatever. So it's a little bit dangerous to be that celebrity CEO or that person that gets all the limelight and whatever, but it can also be effective. The hookup culture today has gotten so out of control where it's not about having a connection.
Swipe right.
It's not about having a connection. It's about fun. And then depression, anxiety through the roof. People they want that connection. They want those relationships, but they're told that they need to just make it meaningless. And look how the kids are fueling that. Alcohol, drugs, parties. Very rarely, let me put it this way, very rarely does stuff like that happen without the introduction of substances that'll take you out of your own mind. Think about that. How many one-night stands happen when you're just hanging out at a restaurant and you meet somebody?
Yeah.
Quite rare. Usually it's at the bar, drunk, lights are dark, it's the end of the night, let's go make this thing happen real quick. And then how do you feel afterwards? Yeah. And think about how many men who do that, and a lot of the reason why they're doing it, so they could tell their friends the day after. Yeah.
I think there's a certain level of insecurity and depression that can also be correlated if you're not actively sexual or having sex or you don't have that lifestyle. If you can't get laid, I think there's a lot of internal conflict that can happen from that too.
Of course, for two areas. One is am I not worthy? Am I feeding this insecurity? The other part is lack of connection. But there's a pendulum that tends to swing with society, and we like to do this where we go over here. Having sex at a wedlock is evil, and you should never do it, and don't masturbate because you're gonna go blind, all that stuff. Yeah. And then it goes over here to
on my wrists.
Yeah, have sex with everybody. It doesn't mean anything. It's just pleasure. It's just your body. I don't think either end is ideal for most people.
Now we're in mega sexual harassment territory. Yeah. Whilst there's like Tinder and all this stuff going on, it's just like, what's going on here? It's like one side of it's saying, hook up with as many people as you can, as quickly as you can, and just get it done. And then on the other side, it's like, you can't even say this to somebody because it's sexual harassment.
Well,
so you created such
hooking up is different, though.
No, but we're creating such an open culture of like sexual liberation and freedom, where it's just like you're on an app and you're swiping people and there's no emotional connection.
Google and Facebook are putting in a bunch of like structure within the company for like dating. They're trying to control the dating within their company.
Saying you can ask once, they say no. You
read that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys watch Bill Maher at all, but he had a big bit on it last night in his show. It's pretty funny. He talked a bit about it.
I think that's pretty wild, like where that could potentially lead, where they're trying to control something like that.
I'd love to get your thoughts on the future of sex, right? Because I was talking to this guy before, this big bodybuilder. He seemed like I can't remember his name, but we were talking about now. I was telling him about how now it doesn't seem like it's a big deal anymore. Like when I was 13, 14, 15, like if you had sex with someone, like wow, you slept with him, or like I wouldn't marry a woman who slept with more, or go with a woman who slept with more than this many people. Like, but now it's just like it's so easy to get it. My friend's visiting from England, not a good-looking kid at all.
I hope you're watching.
Shout out.
He for 10 days slept with 10 girls. Wow. Mate, these fuckers were coming. They were picking them up in the car. He was driving somewhere in LA with them, fucking them in the car, and then dropping them back off. Like 10 girls in 10 days, and like I say, he's an ugly bastard. So
what they look like though.
So, sex is not that big of a deal anymore. Anyway, this bodybuilder guy was telling me he thinks in the future, sex is going to be desensitized, where it might go the other way, where people don't even want to have it. Because it's that easy
we're
to get.
seeing it happen.
Yeah. Well,
we're seeing it happen with ED, and you're starting to see that on the rise.
What's ED? Erectile dysfunction. Yeah. So the age group of men that is seeing the highest rise or the fastest growth of erectile dysfunction is actually men in their 20s. So not that they have the highest rates of erectile dysfunction.
They're all taking Molly and ecstasy.
Not that they have the highest rates,
Pornhub, bro.
But it was almost non-existent. A 20-year-old almost never went to the doctor and said, "I can't get a boner." Well, part of that reason is pornography. Pornography. The male brain is very.
We're normalizing it. I mean, I'm sure you guys, the same like me. When I was a teenage boy, like finding a magazine that with a girl with a boob was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Right? You buried it. You buried it in the backyard. You called your friends over once a week when mom was out of town. You guys could look at it. I mean, that's how it was. There was a lot of scarcity going on back when we were kids. But now
the pornography thing. Like that chemical release and that adrenaline hit or whatever.
Imagine if you're getting
endorphin release.
I mean, all of us know what Pornhub looks like now. Imagine if you had that at 15.
And then it's like, oh
would've
shit!
never left
You
my
actually
room.
have say then someone who's used to that day in day out then goes and has an actual real sexual experience.
You're right,
and they're
'cause-
like, oh, this isn't as good as what I was just watching last
Well, I mean,
night.
but you're
So
are
then
you-
they
are you-
can't get it up, and it's shit. And
Are you
then-
saying that people masturbate now more or because there's pornography is easier to find?
No.
Or, yeah. so
No.
then-
It's
so
not that
what's-
you masturbate
right.
more. It's what happens is, so the male brain is very tuned
Desensitized, that's
it's
what
very
happens.
tuned to novelty. That's the male brain. We're designed this way, evolutionarily speaking, because a woman can get pregnant how many times in 9 months? Right, once. How many women can a man impregnate in 9 months theoretically? Right, an infinite amount. Right, so we are designed to have to be turned on or stimulated by novelty. And novelty is just looking different. And every guy jokes around, right? You're with a girl for years, and she could be super hot and attractive, but it's a new girl that might get you that same, that excitement. And so that's what pornography does. It's that novelty, but it's so fast and it's so available that it literally conditions the brain. It's no different than if you eat sugar all the time and then you go eat an apple or a fruit and it just tastes bland because your brain is wired to that extreme. It's been desensitized. And this is what happens is that your brain, and they've actually done MRI imaging in the brain and shown changes in the structures of the brain of chronic pornography abusers. And so now you're a man, your brain is now conditioned to extreme novelty, to flipping through picture, or video. Then when you go have sex in the real world, nothing. And they don't know why, what's going on. And so you know what the treatment for that is? Complete abstinence from pornography. And I know because
forever, or just for a certain amount
it can
of time?
take as long as a year before things get back to normal. But usually after a few months.
A self-imposed ban here.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Hey, well, there's popularity in forums on the internet where they'll call them like no fap Wednesday, fap Wednesday or no fap, whatever, and guys will be like, oh, I haven't watched porn or whatever, because they notice a difference themselves. But that's kind of the path that we're going down, where sex is becoming so that it starts to lose its value, and then when that happens,
there's
who
so
knows?
many websites too that are just designed for hooking up. Like that didn't exist when we were kids either.
Yeah.
Imagine being a 20-year-old out partying and drinking. Where now I have young nieces and nephews, and they go into a new city like your boy, and there's apps that you can pull up and find, like literally people who are looking to hook up. You can schedule. I know people that schedule their night like that. Like, oh, this girl already said yes. I'm going to meet with her at 5 over here on East Side, and then I'm going to go over here at 7 and meet her. You know what I'm saying? It's
like work
for sure. At least one out of those three are a done deal, and they do that. And
now there are differences. There are gender differences. So this is general, right? Because individual variances can be quite large, but men tend to have an easier time disconnecting from the emotional side of sex, and they tend to be okay being a little bit more promiscuous. So healthy men versus healthy women, generally the healthy men tend to be a little bit more promiscuous. However, when you look on the scale of promiscuity, when the promiscuity starts to go up through the roof, where there's lots of this, just hookup culture, you notice a direct correlation to things like anxiety, depression, and just feeling like things are meaningless. And this is both for men and women. And I think they're just searching for more. I want more, and I'm not getting it. What's going on? And that's a path of destruction. Can anybody argue that being truly connected to somebody and taking your time to meet someone and have a true connection, can anybody argue that is not worth it far more than 100 hookups with random idiots that don't care about?
Yeah, because it develops your brain about when you're meeting people and having this interaction. I mean, this interaction is kind of gone these days as well. Like, not this one, but like
sure.
a man.
We're not having sex later. Sorry.
But like a man and a woman at a bar, like it's very rare that you meet someone there because everyone's just on the phones all the time and starting conversations.
I think we're going to evolve out of that. By the way, we just we speculated about this on our show the other day. Great book, Irresistible by Adam Atler, talks about this. Like right now, we're praising technology about how much we're evolving, how awesome it is, and this connectability and all this great shit that we can have. But no one's really talking about all the issues that are potentially coming from it. Not just the behavioral addiction pieces, but even like structural, what's happening to our posture. I mean, you're seeing kids now that are getting all these back issues and pain because of this being rounded over, looking at their phone for hours a day. That is shit that didn't exist. The pains and the issues that these kids are having are the ones that I'm used to seeing in 40, 50, 60-year-old clients because, of course, over time, they've ruined their posture. You're starting to see that in these young adults. So I think as more studies and more of that comes out and that gets progressively worse, you're going to see a backlash. And I believe that we're going to have a split down society of the plugged in people and then the unplugged people.
We touched on this a little bit last time. We talked about why meditation's on the rise, just with the instant, that's the counter. People are realizing they've got shorter attention spans. They're zoning out, or they can't concentrate for a longer period of time. Meditation's on the rise because that's giving them that counterbalance. It's a chance to just unplug and decompress and get their mind right again.
You know what it
reminds
me of?
So instantaneous all day.
It reminds me of. Anytime we have this huge technological advancement or something, we have to go through this period of indulging in it, and then everybody's like, "Oh shit, there's some bad aspects of doing too much."
Yeah.
Now we need to regulate it. You know what it reminds me of? And we're all right around the same age, or I'm older than you guys, but around the same generation. It reminds me of when processed food became a big thing, and it was everywhere, right? And nobody really controlled it. Like kids were given, Pop-Tart for breakfast and a donut for lunch.
Ho-Hos, Twinkies.
Nobody cares. And then all of a sudden we saw obesity start to skyrocket, and everybody said, hold on a second. We can't self-regulate this on our own. We need to plan things out and, figure out what to eat. And we had to kind of regulate it because we've never had to deal with that before. For most of human civilization, you ate what you got. All of a sudden, we need to be careful and control what we eat. I think the same thing's happening with technology. It's exploded. Nobody's putting these controls in. They're giving an iPhone to their kid or an iPad to their kid, and that's babysitting the kid all day long.
Yeah.
And I think in 10, 15 years, you're going to start to see people go, we need to have some regulations on, not government regulations, but we need to start self-regulating.
Which we are a little bit. You're starting to see it a little bit.
Yeah,
and this is what I love about being a human. It's just evolution in action, really, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
If you think 30, 40 years from now, we'll have double the power of the technology, but hopefully we'll double the smartness that we've got of how we use it and how we regulate.
We'll combine with it.
And that's happening. The IQ level continues to increase. We brought this up on the show the other day, and I had a ton of DMs of people telling me, we were speculating, but they're like, there's already places and restaurants that are forcing you to leave your phone at the door when you come in because it's getting so out of control. It was just 5 years ago, you would rarely see a cell phone at a dinner table, where now it's rare you walk into a restaurant and you don't see everybody at every table with their phones out.
There was a sign you posted on your story just the other day. It's like, put your phones away, pretend it's 1995, and actually have some conversations with people. Something like that was amazing.
I wish more places would do that.
Yeah.
I've got in a habit now of when I'm in a restaurant, I walk around and I'll look to see what people's on their phones because I'm interested, and I just love to hate to see what they're on. Them fuckers, the man and a woman, and what they're scrolling down Instagram and all that. I think it's out of control. But yeah, I'm in a habit now of just peeking over people's shoulders.
It's becoming a challenge to not be on the phone. I'm like, yes, I've not been on it for 2 hours.
Well,
I've not checked text for 4 hours.
These apps too, they've hacked into the formula too to get you addicted to it. I mean, Instagram, even they release their likes. Yeah. So let's say someone you post a picture and 500 people liked it as soon as you put it up. You won't see all 500 likes right away. You'll see 100, and then wait a little bit longer. Then you'll see 35.
Really?
Oh yeah,
they restrict them.
That's what they're doing.
Of course.
Because they know
you're going to check.
They want to train you to keep coming back and coming back to it.
They condition you to it's like Pavlov's dog. It's like you see a like and you get much reward from that.
There's a lot of science behind. I mean, that's again referring back to that book I talked about. I was blown away when I found out that a lot of these people that are responsible for creating this technology don't even allow their kids to use it because they know. They know they designed it with the intention to make you addicted to it.
It's crazy.
And they're constantly refining it, getting better. So that's just one strategy right now over the last 6-7 months that I've read about. But God knows where they're at now as far as evolving it and making it more addictive.
Yeah, interesting. I love podcasting with you boys because I always learn something new. Always.
It's mind pump, brother.
Yeah.
we just took it straight back to 1995.
So, boys, thank you for coming in. And next time, you're not coming in unless we do a boxing session.
That's a deal.
Yeah.
That's a fair deal.
Justin will do that, no problem.
Hey, man, I'm up for it.
Let's do this. Boys, just remind everyone where they can find you.
So Mind Pump is the podcast. Our YouTube channel is Mind Pump TV. You can find us on Instagram, Mind Pump, and then our names. So it's Mind Pump Sal, Mind Pump Justin, Mind Pump Adam. And then if you want any more information on our programs, you go to mindpumpmedia.com.
Before you even consider buying something from us, I always tell audiences to check out our stuff that we offer for free because we have that was how we built this business, is off of providing good free information.
Yeah.
The programs, that's great, and all if you support the business, we appreciate that. But we offer what I recommend to people that are first finding out about Mind Pump is to go to the website mindpumpmedia.com and actually go over to our 30 days of free coaching. And what we've done in the 30 days of free coaching is we've curated all the best information over the last 700 episodes that we think is the best that we could give to somebody who's just kind of finding us, and they can go through and they get dripped an email every single day on a specific topic that we've addressed, and they can dive deep into it and listen to all the episodes regarding it, or they can move on to the next day, maybe a topic that they're more interested in. So
Sounds
highly
amazing.
highly
Well, I highly recommend you boys because I'm a fan. So
Appreciate
thank you, boys.
Thank you,
Nice
guys.
one, boys. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Awesome.